I'm incredibly honored to be able to introduce Magenta Pixie here with us today. And Magenta Pixie is a channel for higher dimensional divine intelligence known as the White-Winged Collective Consciousness of Nine. Magenta has worked with people from all over the world as an intuitive consultant and ascension consciousness coach. She lives in New Forest, UK. She is the author of several books, Masters of the Matrix, Divine Architecture, and the Starseed Template, and the Infinite Helix and the Emerald Flame, the Black Box Program, and the Rose Gold Flame as an Antidote. The Lessons from a Living Lemuria. And Magenta is also, again, someone who I look up to as a fellow conscious creator on YouTube. They have been creating content on YouTube for over 14 years. They have over 138,000 subscribers. They've been reaching people all across the world and helping give insights towards New Earth teachings. You can find Magenta at magentapixie.com and as well as Magenta Pixie on YouTube and official Magenta Pixie on Instagram. And so with that said, I will pass it over to her. And everyone, again, thank you so much for joining and enjoy. Go right ahead, Magenta.
Thank you so much, Brendon. That was really lovely. And it's lovely to meet you. Thank you to Neil and Joan for asking me to be part of Portal to Ascension. I'm really honored. And so what I have done is I have asked my guidance system, the White-Winged Collective Consciousness of Nine, to come forward and respond to a couple of questions specific to the topic of star beings. So I'd just like to bring forward what they said to me and then talk about or analyze what they have said if there's time at the end to do so. So thank you so much. It's a wonderful energy here. I caught the tail end of the previous speaker, Melissa, and what she was saying was lovely and very much in alignment with the information I also have. So that's wonderful. So my talk is entitled Ascension Earth, Star Knowledge Through Celestial Memory. And I would like to bring forward the Nine's responses to my questions. So my first question to them was, star beings, can you explain, please, what these are? And so they replied to me, many individuals would come under this heading, but we would interpret star beings as those who hold celestial memory, which would be you as ascending humans, or extraterrestrial group souls, or we, the White-Winged Collective Consciousness of Nine. Before I move on to the next question, I do hope there's no interruption. We have a bit of a storm brewing here in the United Kingdom, and thunder and lots of rain. So if you lose me, I apologize. Or if you hear thunder, that's what's going on outside. But I hope you can hear me okay. So the next question I asked to the Nine, because they'd mentioned celestial memory. So I asked them, can you explain celestial memory? And this is what they said. There is your memory that you hold as linear, as in what you remember as having taken place within the past, within your current lifetime. Yet memory moves beyond simply linear memories from the past. Celestial memory is that which is beyond the body and beyond linear time. This would be the memory of multiple different past lives, if you will. Yet because this is non-linear, it moves in different directional waves or different time zones from simply the past. So celestial memory is that which has happened in multiple different alternate realities that have not necessarily been lived by you experientially. Also, celestial memory would be that of remembering the future and multiple different future timelines, again, that you have not lived with in your current experience, but nevertheless is known by the consciousness at the celestial, stellar, or star level. Yet it moves beyond even this and is more literal than one might realize. Each star in your galaxy is a node point or a convergence point of multiple timelines culminating in that one point in time, known also as a nexus point. Each star is a different version of each other star, yet each one represents a different convergence point for the timelines of the particular galaxy it exists within, or that it embodies, if you will. When a human incarnates into physical reality, they will project forth from what we may call an antimatter star grid. This is a memory matrix known to you perhaps as a morphogenetic field, or more commonly known as the Akashic records, or Hall of Records. It is, in its most basic form, all that has ever happened, all that could ever happen, all that will ever happen, and all that is happening now. It is therefore a memory grid, each star being a convergence point for those memories, each star being a singularity, if you will, with a 0-point field at the center of the convergence within that planet or star, a core template for that celestial structure. Antimatter star grid. Why antimatter? Because these are star blueprints as memory, thought, and consciousness. For each star birth has not yet birthed or created themselves or projected forth into a matter universe or galaxy within a linear explanation. When the star projects forth as the celestial body you know as a star, this is the convergence of timelines that you see from your incarnational physical vantage point as an incarnate on Earth. You see this convergence timeline field or matrix as a celestial body. All planets are this, and the galaxy itself, multiple galaxies, universes, and multiverses are all different holographic replicas or emanations of one another and of source. Each star in each galaxy feeds into different potentials as independent singularity nexus points, and each are the ultimate star, which in your solar system is the sun, the being we call Sol, spelt S-O-L. Excuse me. The stars and planetary bodies hold different levels of potentials and possibilities for different consciousness expressions as multiple different versions or presentations of your sun, Sol, each an independent consciousness in their own right. Sol, your physical sun, holds the memories and collections of multiple potentials for each star, planet, and planetary body within its consciousness, and stands as a gateway or portal for the entry and exit point for your particular solar system. An entry or exit point for individualized consciousness moving into your solar system, if you will, with each star system being the memory grid for each incarnating physical being at inception point, which is the very first thought or spark of all that is you as a human being. So the incarnation's human consciousness moving into the newborn physical vehicle, the newborn baby, in a healthy, aligned, functioning solar system, enters through your antimatter solar gateway, your sun, the innerverse sun, which is the exact hyperspace replica of your physical sun. From our perspective, as the white-winged collective consciousness of 9, it is the same place. The sun, Sol, is an emanation of multiple other suns, central suns, grand central suns, and great grand central suns into infinity. These suns would be known as the solar consciousness and would be the place of memory or knowing you hold if you are said to be moving into your solar light body or moving through solar ascension. Yet your quest was regarding the celestial, stellar, or star, which equates to what you know as fifth dimensional, or fourth density, depending on the model of reality used to explain the memory grids and matrices we speak of. The star as a celestial body imparts material, let us say, of itself at antimatter level. And this is held as a code or an activation within the incarnating human being. The substance you would know as plasma in truth, but can also be seen, if you will, as stardust, for it is made of a photonic light particle from a particular star or star system. This substance or light or plasmic stardust is held within the DNA fields of each incarnating human being as a dormant code, a dormant memory code. When the individual activates that memory code, as is occurring upon your planet Earth in your current now time of November 2022, much longer than that, but they're talking about now, November 2022, the celestial memory, if you will, comes online. For that individual has activated the memories of the particular star or star system that they were seeded from, as in the plasmic stardust they hold. These star systems that seed the plasmic stardust memories are predominantly known as Lyra, the Pleiades, or Sirius as the most common three. You yourself, Pixie, hold the seeding stardust from the Pleiades. The term starseed is therefore so much more literal than most awakening individuals realize. It does not simply mean you are from a planet or star system outside of your Earth in a philosophical, metaphysical, or metaphoric way. It means you literally were seeded energetically and physically as photonic light memory from a particular star, from the actual fabric of that star, star particles or stardust or plasma. Through the memory codes you hold of that one particular star system, which is an infinity unto itself, you can access the entire history of that star system, the planetoids and moons surrounding that system, and indeed all other stars and planets, including the Earth you exist upon, and thus the galaxy, as you activate galactic energy points or galactic chakras, if you will, and eventually move into solar memory, which is beyond the scope of this particular transmission in accordance and alignment with your question. So that which you experience as a star seed or a star being would be celestial or stellar memory. This awareness moves beyond memory, as it is no longer linear, as we have said, and it becomes knowing, or indeed it becomes a paradigm or a consciousness. You are thus stellar activated, holding a celestial unity awareness, which you know as fifth dimensional consciousness. This leads to one law, which is presented in all celestial teachings from all star systems, and that is the law of one, which is the understanding and awareness of alchemical unification, which is the true unity, as in all things are unified and are thus one. This is the predominant teaching for you as starseeds incarnated upon Earth. For the teaching you receive regarding this unity, and thus the teachings you then deliver to others, which in turn shall activate their own stellar memories and celestial consciousness, is that which shall return your planetary system and humanity into true freedom through liberty templates, sovereignty, and higher creation to your planet Earth and all of humanity. Your planet Earth then moves through a transformation through what we call a Terra gateway, or pronounced by some as Tara gateway, known also as the green Tara goddess alignment, which would equate to a fourth dimensional field, known also as the astral levels of existence, into the Gaia grid, which is fifth dimensional. This is when your Earth moves from existing as a planet into existing as a star, explained on a more logistic, physical level, let us say. Are we saying your planet Earth is becoming a star? Indeed, yes, we are saying exactly this. This is as it is and is the most natural order of all source-aligned planetary systems that you would know as planets. Or indeed, your Earth is more accurately becoming a star system, as there are multiple Earths within that which you may know as multiverse. The Gaia grid stands first as a consciousness, and then births that consciousness into physicality through you, the human, aware and awake and activated souls moving through celestial ascension. This is also known as a crystalline transformation, for the codes within the DNA begin to replicate this original plasma stardust that you incarnated with, which is photonic light consciousness, holding expansive memory of that morphogenetic field of all that is. Each human thus becomes a receiver, transmitter, and transducer for the celestial kingdom, as together, as one, they hold and impart the knowledge of all the star systems within the entire galactic field. Each star being an alternate version of all the other star systems in neighboring galaxies and in galaxies far, far away, if you will. Each and every soul incarnated upon your planet Earth at this time holds the ability to activate this plasmic stardust celestial aspect of themselves and is thus then known as a starseed. The individuals taking part within the gathering that you currently take part in will all have done this within and impart the celestial knowings and memories to all those called into the receptive field of the gathering you call Portal to Ascension. For indeed, this is what this is, and it acts exactly as its given name, a portal to ascension. For each celestially activated individual stands together. The radiation then from each soul's activated plasmic stardust crystalline DNA creates a field of photonic light, even if these souls have never met one another in their physical lives. This creates exactly as is said here, a portal. That portal leads to the triggering of the celestial memory within the receiver of that information and code, and therefore the portal leads to ascension for all involved and beyond that structure. I then said to the 9, thank you so much for that. May I ask, what of extraterrestrial beings? You said that they're also star beings. These are the souls that live upon other star systems and planets. Can you please discuss these extraterrestrial souls? And the 9 replied, indeed, this is the case and is explained by all we have said. These souls that you call extraterrestrial are simply you, each one of you that is activated within the plasmic stardust, celestial crystalline DNA and memory. They hold their own individualization Yet each of these different races, if you will, are consciousness constructs that represent the planetary or star system that they originate from, as in they are that planet or star or the consciousness of it, and they are represented by you, the aware and activated starseeds on Earth. They can communicate with you as individualized beings, just as we, the white-winged collective consciousness of 9, represent the Arcturian consciousness as we communicate with you. We could therefore, from that perspective, be known as Arcturian extraterrestrials. Yet to take this a step further, higher, or deeper, if you will, into the truth of the metaphor, we are a consciousness represented by you. You move through celestial memory fields and access the knowings of the Pleiadian star system. You yourself, dear Pixie, are not at the stage where you are able to hold the consciousness of the Arcturian star system within your fields, but through your Pleiadian radiation and antenna system, that which you know as pineal gland and connected crystalline network, you are able to reach that memory, that consciousness, through direct communication with us. Another way of saying this would be to say that your consciousness resides at the celestial level. And as you move through celestial ascension, but you are not yet at the point of solar consciousness or solar ascension, you can still access that memory field when you communicate with us. So I then asked them, if you are Arcturian, surely you are celestial rather than solar. And they replied and said, the planetary system you know as Arcturus is a sun. It is at the solar level. Yet this moves beyond the scope of your question, which is that of celestial memory. Indeed, there is much to know, to seek, and to remember. And you are each doing this at your own pace, in your own time. It is not necessarily an easy journey to hold such multidimensional and metaphysical knowings within the human brain, which is designed as an interface for decoding third-dimensional energy. Indeed, however, the plasmic stardust celestial codes of crystalline activation are that which shall take you into the receiving of the knowledge you seek, for all the answers are available to you when you move through this celestial activation. The human brain, therefore, whilst remaining a third-dimensional interface, is, if you will, somewhat bypassed, and it is the heart that takes over the holding of the knowings of that which we speak. Thus the heart takes flight, grows its heart wings, activates into the higher heart formation, and joins with the human brain to become the heart brain. The two work thus in unified, alchemized connectedness to decode the knowings and memories at galactic, solar, and source consciousness level. The unity that thus takes place within the human body-mind betwixt heart, brain, cellular, and skeletal structure, and all that is you, is thus reflected within the experiential reality lived by the unified one. This, on a consciousness level, when this is achieved by multiple star-seeded ones en masse across your planet Earth, the Terra Bridge is crossed and the Gaia star is created. Ascension Earth thus takes place. This is that which is currently being undertaken across your world at this time. And for us, and for all star beings with eyes upon the jewel planet that is Earth and beloved humanity upon her, it is indeed a joy to behold. We are the white-winged collective consciousness of 9. So this was their reply to me when I asked them these questions. I wasn't expecting such a long reply. I just thought, as we were discussing ultimate star beings within this conference, that I would ask them these questions and see where they would go with their replies. So it really seems as though, from what they are saying, that the stars themselves are so much more a part of us as humans than we could ever imagine. And it's not just a metaphor or a metaphysical discussion to be had. It's actually physical, as within our DNA physically, we hold a substance or a stardust that's actually from the physical material within each star when we are incarnated, from whichever star system we're first thought of, our inception point. And it seems as though we carry that with us throughout multiple incarnations, including incarnations that we haven't experienced because they're alternate. Yet the idea of them and the thought of them and the learning from them can be accessed by us through that memory that we activate within. And that memory gives us the ability to then navigate through our reality by knowing multiple pasts, multiple futures, and multiple alternate realities also, known as the multiverse. Have I any more time? Have I spoken enough, or shall I carry on? Oh, I see there's some chat. I wonder if there are any questions. Let me have a look. I didn't see any questions, just a few comments. Okay, so I'll carry on talking, and then, Brendon, if you want to stop me when I've said enough. So I'm going to go back to the part where I ask the 9, can you explain celestial memory? And go through what they're saying here and sort of analyze that somewhat from my point of view. Because when I bring the 9 forward, I don't always understand exactly at a full consciousness level what they're saying. It takes a while for me to bring that into my own awareness. And that's what they mean by the brain, the human brain being a 3rd dimensional interface. We interpret everything in a 3rd dimensional way. And obviously what they bring forward is multi-dimensional information. So we have to decode that. So when they answered my question, can you explain celestial memory? They talked about our memory as linear, the past, the present, and the future. Everything we remember as having taken place in our life. Yet what they're saying is celestial memory moves beyond that. It's beyond the body, it's beyond linear time. As I said, it's the memory of multiple different past lives. It's the memory of things that haven't happened to us, multiple alternate realities, which can lead into realities that are very, very similar to the one that we are experiencing, but it can also lead to alternate realities that are completely different to the one that we are experiencing. So we can look at all these multiple different timelines, but timelines, again, is just the way the 3rd dimensional brain decodes this. The 3rd dimensional brain has to have some kind of direction, past, present, future, forward, backwards, sideways, up and down. And yet, in truth, this is a oneness. This is a unity field. There are no directions within that. That's just the way that we decode this multidimensional presentation of reality. It's very difficult for us to talk about unity in its expansive 0-point field presentation. So we find these different ways to decode what it is. So this is what the 9 are meaning when they say that this moves beyond linear time. It moves in these different directional waves or different time zones. So celestial memory is that which has happened in all these different alternate realities and futures also. And it moves beyond even this, they said, and is more literal than one might realize. Each star in your galaxy is a node point or a convergence point of multiple timelines, culminating in that one point in time. So when I speak about timelines as different eventualities and different probabilities, I would see them perhaps as timeline A, timeline B, timeline C, timeline D, and they're all different alternate realities. But there is a point where all these timelines converge together in one point. And what that means is the same outcome exists in all these different timelines. The new information that has come forward today, that the Nine have told me, is that a star that we see when we look out of our window or through a telescope from our third dimensional existence in the physical body, we look at a star. The star is a physical representation of the convergence of timelines. It's been created by this thought process that we're all going through, and by our experience, by the experience that we've lived, and by the experiences that we haven't lived, but that we can access as potentials that didn't occur. The star is the convergence point of those timelines, every single star in the galaxy and the galaxy itself. And that's new information. I didn't realize that the stars were this. I didn't realize stars were convergence points. Neither did I realize that Earth is moving into becoming a star. Now, I understand now, it makes sense because they have spoken to me about what's occurring on Earth. We're moving into this convergence point. So for many thousands and thousands of years, they've been multiple different timelines. But now, at the time we're in now, which they call end times or planetary completion, every single timeline moves to the same place, which is a singularity and an inevitability. So when that occurs, when we actually reach the point of everything in all these different timelines is all culminating into the same place, that's when Earth is becoming a star. And we're very much on that journey now, because what's happening now in our reality, this great awakening and this coming together of all these aware and awake individuals, that's part of that inevitability. So I'm not sure how Earth physically becomes a star, but I can see how Earth becomes a star in a consciousness sense, in a thought sense, and how we're creating that through our experience and our thoughts. But how that actually happens physically, I would have to speak to the Nine more so about that, although I'm sure what they would say to me when I ask that question is that trying to get this puzzle into my thoughts is a third dimensional way of doing this, and it is far more than that, because there's more than one Earth. Because what our Earth is becoming, they said, is a star system. And I feel what that may mean. This is my interpretation. I feel what that may mean is, as we become aware of all the different multiple playouts that could occur for us in our individual lifetimes and in the lifetime for the planet, we then begin to see and feel and experience multidimensionality. We're no longer living a linear journey as a one mono path. We live and think multidimensionally. That is what we are doing with this stellar consciousness, this celestial consciousness. So as we bring our awareness into our thought process and decode it within the third dimensional brain, we're seeing these multiple different timelines, multiple different Earths, and through our awareness of it, we're creating a star system within our own minds, which is a reflection of our own DNA and our knowledge. And all that occurs at antimatter level, which the Nine said is the innerverse. So everything within our mind, our thoughts, our knowings, our imagination, our channeling, everything we see in those inner worlds collectively together and individually is an innerverse. And they are telling me it is an exact replica of our solar system multiverse, universe, everything we see out there that we interpret as planetary bodies and stars and moons and suns are physical representations of what is inside us, the innerverse. So they're the timelines culminating together, created by our thought. So this is what they mean when they say looking deeper and looking beyond into the metaphor. So when I ask the question about extraterrestrials existing on other planets, whilst that is an individualized consciousness and we can communicate with those beings, they are suggesting we go deeper into the metaphor and see that the beings upon these planetary systems are ourselves as well. They are also us. I'm just looking here to see if there are any questions have come in. And someone's saying here, as we gather our multidimensional self back to unity, we compact layers of light into luminous, celestine, crystalline. So as the earth as well fuses its self to denser light or stellar. So yes, absolutely, we are going through this journey individually, but we're also going through this journey collectively, and so is the earth. And that's a difficult concept, I feel, to get your head around in a third dimensional sense. But when you see it in this multidimensional way, when you see how connected we are, the Nine have said that the law that is taught through all the celestial memory within all the planetary bodies in this galaxy and beyond is the law of one, which is the law of alchemical unification. So it's the law of unity, but I think they use the word unification because it's a journey into it, whereas unity is, if you will, a thing that we can conceptualize of and see, but unification is the journey into it. And alchemical suggests that a change takes place. A transformation takes place from one thing into something else. So that's why they call this alchemical unification. And that thing that is being alchemized is the separateness, the mono ability to live a linear life is being alchemized into this multi ability to live a unified life, a multidimensional, multiversal life. And this is what is happening right now on our planet. It's what we call ascension. And I'm sure that every speaker that speaks for this conference this week will be saying exactly the same thing in different ways, in their own unique ways. It was interesting what the Nine said about the sun. They call the sun soul. And they were saying how the physical sun holds the memories and the collections of multiple potentials. So all these alternate realities for every star, every planet, every planetary body within its consciousness. So whilst the star is holding its individualized consciousness for that system, the sun is holding the consciousness for all the star systems within it. And that is solar memory. But the Nine did not go on to embellish about solar memory. I presume it is a higher, deeper form of multidimensionality. And it's the celestial that they were talking about, which is, if you will, it seems to be more compartmentalized. Even though it's a unity teaching, it's a unity structure, it appears to be more compartmentalized because we're looking at the stars and the planets as individual separate beings. And when we move into the solar, everything becomes one. There are no planets. There are no stars. So when we look out of our window or look through a telescope from this perspective of being human, what we're seeing is an illusion, a formed illusion in matter, because they don't really exist when we move into that solar expression. But as I said, the Nine didn't talk too much about that aspect of unity. So I will have to ask them more about that at a later stage. But they did go on to say that the sun, soul, is an emanation of multiple other suns, central suns grand central suns and great grand central suns into infinity. And what they showed me, in a way, is very similar to like the Hall of Mirrors. If you were to go into one of those fairground attractions called the Hall of Mirrors, and you can stand and see your reflection, and then you'll see multiple reflections of yourself going back through all these different mirrors they've got set up in the fairground attraction. That's what it looks like. It's like a sun and another sun that's the same sun, but it's reflected in this cosmic mirror, and then another one and another one going on into infinity. So this is an infinite grand central sun system, and our physical sun is an emanation of that. So that in itself is another form of this multidimensionality and this multiversal presentation of unity expressed individually, this fractal consciousness, if you will. And the nine said that these suns would be known as the solar consciousness and would be the place of memory or knowing you hold when you're moving into your solar light body or moving through solar ascension. And somebody posted here, suns are with every parallel Earth in every timeline, every universe of infinite existence beyond numbers. And that absolutely sums that up. And I will just say here, one more comment's been written here. Gestalt being is stellar self, at the core is unified self, a level closer to integrating source as oneness. So yes, absolutely.
Magenta, I'll just say thank you so much. I can tell both Joan and myself are just got our smiles all the way to our ears. Just listening to you really just lights me up. And again, I love the way you explain things, because for me it's just like, it's like this is the type of stuff that would almost be like in a galactic textbook that they would teach in school. It's like here's how the universe works, and just hearing the comprehension of it from your guides is just very reassuring, where I'm just like, oh, like not only is some of it just kind of new to me, but at the same time some of it's just like, oh, like that's what I've thought, like that's intuitively, no one told me that, but that I've come to that same conclusion just through my own intuition, which I think is always fascinating.